I'm putting it out.
Maybe a couple. Good evening, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for attending this evening. It's great to see such familiar faces here. We will open tonight's Board of Trustees meeting with public comment. So anyone wishing to address the board must sign in at the front table to be recognized by the mayor. 3 minutes per speaker, and please approach the podium and state your name and address for board minutes. We have a few people who have signed in first. So first is Francis Genevieve, 209 Bishops.
As stated, my name is Frances Genovese, 209 Bishop's Lane. I would like to make it clear before I speak that I'm speaking as a private citizen, and I'm also speaking as a citizen who greatly values privacy. So I want to bring to your attention, in case you haven't seen it, it came to my attention today, a FOIL request from a non-existent entity in Mobile, Alabama, asking for any and all communication, whether by text, email, private or direct message, on any private or village-owned server or cell phone or any social media site, Facebook, this goes on, between this mayor and people, these following people: Megan Magyar, Evelyn Conrad, Joseph McLaughlin, Francis Genovese, Thomas Lothan, and Len Zinanti. I don't know what these people have in common, but here we are. Now, I also am speaking here as a veteran of many, many FOIL skirmishes. Mr. Cratterville knows that. He was involved in some of them when he was at the town. Mrs. Cratterville was involved in mostly all of them. So about this, there are many, many, many things to say about this Freedom of Information request. Number one, it is policy, I understand, that any communication that comes into this office, as in the town, gets stamped the date it arrives. That wasn't done here. The other thing is, when I spoke with Mr. Cratterville this afternoon about this, because he told me that he was going to be working on strategy to answer this. Well, let me explain the strategy to answer this. Number one, it's illegal. Number two, you need a federal warrant to get any total email records and everything else. As for my total email records, you don't touch them. I don't work in government. So that's number one. Number two, answer this non-existent entity is that the request is too broad. You just fling it back. And the next thing you do is you call the Office of the State Department of the Committee on Open Government. So the other thing is that this is an obvious, transparent, phishing and chilling request. I have no interest on any of the internecine wars and whatever kind of conflict is going on at this board. It's venial.
We'll afford the opportunity to finish. Thank
Good.
you. Thank you, Mr. Cratterville.
And I have actually backed myself up with several people who will give me their minutes if you want it. This is transparent, and it's an overreach because, quite frankly, I don't believe I've had any communications with the mayor And anybody who wants to look at my email or anything personal will face a lawsuit the size of the Ritz. So let's get that straight. That's how you answer that kind of a thing. Anyone with any experience in municipal government should understand that. It should be reflexive. The other thing is...
That's 4 minutes.
Excuse me, we would like to afford Ms. Genevieve the opportunity to finish.
The other thing
finish
is, there seems to be a very, from this Mary Kate Wilson, whose existence doesn't seem to be verifiable, who works out of something called Foyer Professional Services. Foyer Professional Services, according to the internet, is the painting of foyers. And it's not located specifically at this address. But whoever this entity is, when asking to see the correspondence between this mayor and Joseph McLaughlin, states that communications unrelated to, they want to know all communications except those related to anything he might have officially to do. So in other words, they want everything private, but the one thing that they could legitimately ask for is to some inquiry about his work on the Planning Commission. But they specifically state they don't want to be bothered with that. They want only this private stuff. I have a feeling I know who and what generated this. I'm not interested in pursuing it personally unless I hear. I have, however, sent a copy of it to Evelyn Conrad. She might want to pursue it with you. I think that, number one, my name is spelled incorrectly. Number two, this is an illegitimate foil, is what I have to say about it. It's illegitimate, and I also wonder why the village didn't extend the courtesy to the people mentioned in it. According to what Mr. Cradwell has said, this arrived on January 17th, but it is not marked when it arrived. Part of the public record missing. So I think that I don't know what to say about it. I think you ought to heal whatever your division is. I have no interest on being a part of either side of whatever conflict, venial or otherwise, that's going on here. But this is egregious to me as a private citizen and to every other private citizen that's mentioned here.
Thank you, Francis. Just to clarify, out of the NICOM handbook and general practices, it says, may restrictions be placed on public comment, to which the answer is anyone who wishes to speak at the public hearing must be given the opportunity to speak. However, there are several restrictions that the public body may place upon participation at the public hearing. The public body may and generally should limit comments to the topic of the public hearing. In addition, if a large number of individuals appear to be at the public hearing requesting to speak, the public body may impose reasonable time limits. What constitutes reasonable will depend on a variety of circumstances, including how many individuals appear to speak and the nature of the matter of the subject that is at the hearing. Note that any restrictions imposed on a public comment must be applied equitably and may not discriminate based upon residency. So we would, of course, allow some additional time because we did extend that to Francis, so anyone else that would like to speak tonight would get the same opportunity that Ms. Genevieve did. So thank you for your comment. I believe next up is Regina Grieven from 375 Ox Pasture Road.
Just so we know how much added time are we allowing every speaker tonight?
I will leave that to the mayor's discretion.
What was the last?
6 minutes.
Okay.
And then our public comment that's always indicated 3 minutes, does this get changed?
That is the mayor's discretion.
I'm not going to speak because I think we should give a little more time to Frances Genovese. So I'm going to turn my 3 minutes over to her. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Francis, do you have an additional comment, or would we, or should we, we'll go through the list. Would you like to be revisited later?
I would like to know, how are you going to proceed on this?
She has to go, Ms. Genevieve, I'm sorry, Charlie is saying you need to go up there so that he can capture you on the tape.
Yes, I would like to know how this is going to be handled from this point on. Is there going to be any attempt to find out who Mary Kate Wilson is? Working out of a bank address of a large bank in Mobile, Alabama. How is this going to be pursued, and why was it handled in the manner in which it was handled? Why isn't it marked when it came in? And why aren't the people that are listed here who are not employed or work in any way by the Village of Southampton, why were they not notified about this?
I would have to direct that question to council, but I do understand your concerns. But we are public servants. This is what we signed up for, good or bad. So we will ask council to look into that, and we'll hopefully get back to you.
Yeah, that's the point. We are not. Nobody except in a peripheral manner, Joseph McLaughlin, is involved in any official business with this municipal body. No one. And also, has anyone gone to Mr. Freeman?
Mr.
He's
Freeman
the arbiter.
Mr. Freeman is no longer with the committee.
Whoever replaced Mr. Freeman.
Does the board have any additional comments?
This is the first time hearing of it. I don't appreciate the word internecine. That's a very serious word. And obviously, whatever policy and procedure and process needs to be applied, I'm sure this board will do all it can to do such.
Oh, you mean you'll have a consensus?
I think it's important to know that at 4:15, when I first received I became aware of the FOIL request, I was with council at the time and advised council and gave a copy to council.
Thank you very much for that. We do have a New England-style town hall format, so we do enjoy it. So I'm going to proceed with the next speaker, Valerie Hart from 218 Corrigan Street.
I also was going to give my time to Frances if she would like it.
Thank you, Valerie. It's great to see our community coming out to support other residents, so we appreciate it. Ms. Genevieve, do you have any additional comments? Would you like those 3 minutes, or should we proceed to the next speaker?
Well, since I've left my clipboard up here, according to what Mr. Cradaville told me, this came in on January 17th. Anybody aware of it before I brought it up here tonight?
Anybody?
Okay, so that's what makes it necessary.
You were aware.
I was aware that it came in, but not until today.
Okay,
I had a
so
resident tell me that another board member informed him about it as well.
okay,
It wasn't Trustee Polero.
who got it on the 17th then? Where was it on from the 17th? What's today, the 21st? Where has it been?
It came in after hours on the 17th, and today is the first day of business.
Yesterday was a public holiday.
Correct.
Thank you.
It would be best to authenticate it then when it comes in.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Dorothy, you've got the board presentation, so if there's no additional public comment, we're very excited to welcome Dorothy Riley, or Dar Riley, co-founder of Drawdown East End. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your support at our event this last week. It was really exciting. So what we did was we presented something called the Drawdown Festival of Films, Forums, and Fun. And it was at the Southampton Arts Center. We did it in conjunction with them. And we had 24 exhibitors, and 650 people showed up for the event. It was in such popular demand, the film that we showed, that we actually showed it again on Friday and had another 110 people show up. And in addition to this work, last year we put on about 16 programs at the Rogers Memorial Library about drawdown topics. And in the next 6 weeks, we're actually doing 12 more projects. So this is an opportunity that we see bringing together our local community in the middle of the winter. And we're not giving them food, so they have to go to local establishments at either end to get their meals and use the facilities that are here. I'd like to tell you about another thing that we have done with the town, and we'd love to support you on doing as well, and that is we have assisted them in looking at their comprehensive plan and created a prioritization list with Project Drawdown, which is used by the Commonwealth countries to prioritize their environmental events. So you can see we had some expenses with this, and we would love to have your support. We're making kits out of this so we can give it to people in other places. We're planning on making it an annual event, and we feel that we're helping build this community in a really positive way, and if there's any way that you can contribute to these expenses, we would appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I do, Doris. You know, my son, when he was home this summer, and I attended your first drawdown meeting at the library. But what do you have that the community at large can go Google and see? Because a number of people have asked me, what is it that you do? How can they learn about what you have? I know you have a book.
That's a wonderful idea. And a wonderful question, because we would love to build a strong website. And so if you give us even more money, we'll be able to do that. We have a tiny little face page on our website. It will list the programs. You can go to Rogers Memorial Library, and you can see the 12 programs we're doing in the next weeks, and they can sign up. We will be having a monthly drawdown. Wants to know the town. We put the plan or the plus plan.
Was all these scientists put together a list of 90, is it 90? Actions that can be taken that dramatically reduce carbon being released into the atmosphere. But those actions depend on where you're located. So they're very different based on region, and they're very different based on the size of a village. So we are undertaking many, many things, and I think it would be very worthwhile to look at your list. But we do have a water committee, and we have a business revitalization committee, and we have an infrastructure committee, and we're running a budget. And we know it's important, and we have Gary Gillespie, who's not here today, working on, lighting and working with Edwina and a number of other people on runoff and native plantings. So we just have to prioritize with the right people in the room. So I guess the answer is yes. I don't know what it means for us until we sit down, but happy to sit down.
Yeah. Great. And it may be smaller than that for the village itself, because we've got more agricultural kinds of things outside of the village. Just one little point, and that is in understanding about drawdown and actually reversing global warming, which many of us don't think we can do, because we know that when the emissions go up there from like that they accumulate up there, and we think it can't stop. And there's a whole nother huge side of drawdown, which is the pulling down of the carbon, which I knew nothing about a few years ago. But through all sorts of different things, we actually pull carbon. Conservancy.
Yes. Items you'd like to have us do?
Just
Discussion item is to number 2, amend local.
Effective March 1st.
Thank you. I was wondering if the board had any comments here. I know Trustee Allen, I know you've been involved, so if you have anything, we'd love to hear.
Why don't you go first, because I know you've looked at this and you had some thoughts as well.
I'm fine. I echo a lot of your thoughts, so
Okay.
please take it from here if
I
you'd
guess
like.
the only issue is we are currently under the jurisdiction of Suffolk County, and that home improvement license requires our local community here to drive all the way up to Yaphank, and the fee is higher than it is for the town. There's a test, and you have to jump through a few more hoops to get the Suffolk County home improvement license. So the community that we met with came to us and said, why not consider the town, particularly because not all of our community landscapers are large-scale businesses. They do businesses just work here in the village or the town. They don't really go all the way up island. So I did have a conversation with Jay Schneiderman, and he said he'd be willing to explore it. But I guess, Counselor, the question for you is, are we allowed to, from an enforcement standpoint, have two jurisdictions? Because the issue is it's the homeowner and it protects the landscaper if there's any issue with the homeowner. Both, because enforcement comes from Suffolk County at this juncture. But if I'm missing anything, let me know.
I think that was well said.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, anything to add?
I think the license is important to get. Piggybacking on some things Kimberly said about having some small people that generally work within the, village to go to Suffolk County, have an option. If you for some applicator license. So anything I think makes sense to have something closer and then being able to have a review board that in case there is a problem, it's right in our village. So that's my thoughts on that.
Thank you. Anything else to add?
Nothing, I mean, I think everything has flowed down, so I have nothing else to add. All points are valid, and I'm willing to look at all options.
Okay.
We do have members in the audience, so at the next public comment, I guess, I don't know.
So is the consensus that if we can add town since to provide the license, you would like to add the town into the legislation?
Yes. Is that what we're hearing?
It's a new twist. If it's allowed, it's probably easier because they're similar, so the folks who are local, go to the town. But in terms, again, how does the enforcement work?
The important difference is that anyone who does anything more construction, tie, home improvement. The only advantage this is going to give is for the people who simply just cut lawns, rake leaves, and those types of things that do not need a building permit, do not need permission of, pool installers, those types of things. And
And if both are allowed, you would like to make the amendment to the law?
Yes, I would.
Okay. We'll get an answer one way or the other, and if the change can be made, then we'll make the revision.
so we would need a resolution, and I would request a motion resolved that the Board of Trustees schedules a public hearing on February 13th, 2020 on a local law amending Chapter 73 entitled Landscapers Requiring an Annual Registration.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much. We do not have any public hearings tonight. So finally, prior to resolutions, we have communications to the board. The Town of Southampton, NPH, requiring digital submission of particular applications.
The Town of Southampton sent us a notice that they're holding a public hearing to consider amending various provisions of their town code, which would require a digital submission of certain applications. So the proposed legislation is in your packet. This is just for informational purposes only. If the board had any interest in sending comment back, certainly could let me know. We could send comment back, but it's a notice, and that's really just to make our village aware of a potential change in their zoning code.
This might help our carbon release.
Any comments from the board? Okay. With that said, I believe we should move forward with suggested resolutions.
So I entertain a motion resolved that the reading of the minutes for the public sessions of November 26, 2019 and January 9th, 2020 be dispensed with, and that those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator, and that the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the claims for the warrants dated January 21st, 2020, totaling $508,695.46, warrant number 11 of the general fund, $134,850.51, warrant number 8 of the capital reserve fund, and $931.78, warrant number 3, CS Trust Fund, and the village payrolls for the period from January 9th, 2020 to January 16th, 2020 be ordered and approved.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Invoices over $1,000. General fund, a Quiver Full Incorporated, $1,131.35. Those are frosty towels for the fire department. Arboy Products, $2,192.50. That is a check in the final audit that is going to be voided and is actually going to be made out to Bin Douglas for 50% of a piece of equipment at Cooper's Beach. Brothers The Police Store, $4,705. That's police uniforms. Buzz Chew Chevrolet Olds, $1,039.86. Emergency vehicle parts. Alan Salatka, $7,061.79. It's a workers' comp insurance reimbursement. ESO Solutions, $1,495. That's electronic health interface maintenance program for the ambulance. Fowler's Garden Center, $1,407.20. Park Supplies and Materials, Fundamental Business Services, $1,056. That's court fee recovery charges. Global Montello Group, $6,619.64. That's fleet diesel fuel. Ingerman Smith, $1,300. Litigation expenses. Matthew Bender and Company, $1,956.58. 2020 criminal law books for the police department. Munistat Services, $2,250. The annual financial reporting fee to the SEC. National Grid, $6,982.65. Those are utilities. Nelson Pope and Voorhees, $22,297.50. $18,600 of it is Lake Agawam soundings and samplings, and the rest was consulting services for the administrative boards. Norsec & Sons, $1,480. Municipal garbage. New York State Employees Health Insurance, $370,037.41. Employee health insurance. New York State Unemployment Insurance, $5,041.31. That's unemployment expense. Pine Barrens Printing, $2,823.15. That's for 4x4 stickers and receipt books. Professional Estate Care, $4,125. That's pruning and maintenance of 35 large trees for the Parks Department. PSEG, $1,251.98. Utilities, Sadie and Partners, $11,289.25. That's auditor expenses. Southampton Christmas Lights, $9,580. That's white lights for village tree installation. Sprague Operating, $5,435.62. Fuel for the fleet. Stryker Sales Corp., $1,068.21. That's a power kit with battery for the ambulance stretcher. Town of Southampton, $15,972.60. That's brush and leaf disposal. Verizon, $4,054.05. That's telephone expenses. Capital expenses. Central Air Corporation, $129,675. That's HVAC for the ambulance project. Municipal Testing Laboratory, $1,765. That's concrete testing for the ambulance project. Pursuit Auto Emergency package for a police vehicle, $3,410.51. All in favor?
Quick question.
Yes.
Do you know how many hours Nelson Pope and Voorhees invoiced us for the $22,000, $297?
I don't have that. I do not have that with me right here in hand. There was a resolution by the board that authorized them to do the studies on the Lake Agawam sounding and samplings. That's the $18,600, and then the other two are for administrative boards.
And could you just remind us how much they charge per hour?
I don't have that number in
Okay.
my.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that at the request of the Southampton Village Police Benevolent Association, the Village Board hereby directs payroll to increase union dues deduction an additional $10 inclusive of the Chief of Police effective the pay period ending January 30, 2020.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the mayor hereby accepts the retirement of Alan Shalatka, Maintenance Mechanic 4, effective February 1, 2020, and that payroll be authorized to effectuate the contractual payment of accrued time.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the mayor hereby accepts the retirement of Eileen Musara, Deputy Village Clerk, Registrar, effective January 31st, 2020, and that payroll be authorized to effectuate the contractual payment of accrued time.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves a 12-month traffic maintenance contract renewal with Johnson Electrical Construction Corp. for traffic signal maintenance at a cost of $1,420 per month and $450 biannual relamping and inspection.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby proclaims the following village equipment be deemed surplus and authorizes the DPW superintendent to auction through Auctions International: a Muller cement mixer, a Giant Vac 6600 TD tow-behind leaf vacuum, a Bandit 280 XP tow-behind brush chipper, and a 2008 F-250 extended cab pickup truck.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the Board of Trustees sets the rates for Terry Tramantano Falquero, court reporting services at the rates listed.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby appoints John Halsey to the Water Quality Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion resolved that the Board of Trustees accepts donations to the Southampton Village Police Department. Herbert Allen, $5,000. Our Lady of Poland Church, $100.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We next have comments from the board, and we'll begin with Trustee Allen.
I have very little to say except happy birthday, John Holden, who turned 99 this week.
All right.
Hey, John.
Thank you very much for that. We all love Mr. Holden. Trustee Parrish.
Nothing much, just a quick thing. The mayor and I met with the chief of police and members of the Ocean Rescue Group, and we had a very good meeting. Thank you, chief, for coming and supporting that, and we're looking forward to getting this group situated and ready for this coming summer, so to be ready to go in case there are any water-related emergency. So it was a good meeting. I was glad that the mayor attended, and we walked out there feeling pretty confident amongst all of us. So that is it.
Thank you very much. And Trustee Polaro.
Again, very little to report. We did have a good Arts District meeting today, and it was brought to my attention. I thought I would share it. Is that the Southampton Arts Center is working with many of the realtors in Southampton to effectively create some of the storefront windows that we are trying to legislate. And so they've taken it upon themselves, and they've had very receptiveness from some of the landlords to be able to put some art in windows. They are also looking, they've got a new exhibit opening on the 1st of February 2020, which it's called the Takeover Exhibition, and they're looking to try and take over some storefront windows as well there. So that is something that is very positive, and if any landlords are interested in this, they can reach out to Tom Dunn at the Southampton Arts Center.
Thank you very much. And again, Trustee Parrish, thank you very much for bringing up the Ocean Rescue. Good job. The two of us, as we mentioned, worked together on that with village resident Nick Palumbo and Jim Arnold, Captain Jim Arnold, for Ocean Rescue. And our goal is to have a significant and serious ocean rescue group. They do an excellent job in the village of East Hampton and the town of East Hampton, and we'd love to have that type of effort or more in our village. This will come in handy anytime throughout the year. As Captain Arnold said, they're nimble and they're fast, and they can get to emergencies at a very fast rate. So having a team of volunteers that donate their time to help everybody is very important. We're very happy and thankful for them. I also just wanted to remind everyone, we've got another meeting with the DEC on Friday. We've been working extremely closely with them. We will have the first ever New York State DEC approved.
Algae bloom.
That's right, and Trustee Allen has been very helpful with that process, so thank you very much for your passion for clean water.
But I have to say, it's been a community effort. So many people deserve a lot of thanks. We can't list all the names today, but we will at some point.
It's right, and the DEC and Carrie Gallagher, the regional rep, had basically commented that she's really never seen. Rob Coburn will be attending potentially, or Tom Latham, but never seen this type of level of community interest. It was a packed house when we had it, so it's just great to see the momentum continuing to build and moving on with our movement for clean water. That's another quick. Attended Rob. Deputy Village Attorney Halsey Story put on a phenomenal celebration. Martin was just members today in 2020. While things have changed since 1963, things continue to need to improve. And so as a village, I hope that we can move in his legacy to make sure that we continue to have a very diverse workforce. We're inclusive of everyone, and we treat everybody equally and with respect that they deserve. So with that said, we can now move to second public. Address the board. Come on up.
Christine Wicker, live in Cameron Street. I was just going to mention that on the drawdown thing, I went to all of them. I even went to one in anti-pesticides, clean water. Showing and some places, even on small properties near me, they come 4 and 5 times a week, and the people aren't even there on small properties, but it's constant. And it seems to be there's nothing better than a family-owned landscaping company, and that not to make them go to Suffolk County, get Suffolk County licenses if they're just mowing and taking care of other families' yards that they've taken care of for decades.
Thank you. Is there additional public comment? Okay. We'll give Rob Coburn opportunity. Rob, it's your lucky day. You get more than 3 minutes.
I will take less than that, I hope. With respect to the licensing of landscapers, I just ask, it's Rob Coburn, 345 Hill Street. I am on the Clean Water Committee. One of the things that has intrigued us about licensing generally and the local law is the idea that there can be a way then to incorporate sustainability practices and environmentally friendly practices into the licensing requirement. I believe that's part of the county. I don't know what the town's requirements are in terms of education or passing of a knowledge test on basic sustainability. Some of those techniques will apply even for landscapers that just mow lawns. So it has to do with how brush is disposed of, how lawns can be kept in a way that is environmentally friendly, whether they're applying chemicals or not, there are ways to do it. So I guess I would just ask you, as you look into whether we can use Southampton Town as a licensing authority, that you do some looking into what the requirements are from each licensing entity, and in terms of environmental sustainability education and environmental practices, to see that there's at least some content for that. Or that we otherwise incorporate it somehow into our registration practices, which is another way to go, but we wouldn't want to duplicate what other agencies are doing.
So Rob, obviously, we did a tick and talk and did just that.
Okay.
And the real difference is, as Mark laid out, one item, but the real difference is the cost, the distance, and the test.
Great. Okay.
It's all state mandated or federally mandated, and it's very similar, so, but good question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have it here if you want to look at it.
Additional public comment? Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward? Please do so now. If not, we can make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing.
I think.
Oh, okay, that's right, Francis, okay.
On another topic completely, the area that I live in, Bishop's Lane, down around Hill Street, down past Hill Street, Halsey Lane, we're inundated with deer. I spoke with Mr. Testatori, and he told me that his deer blinds were taken down where he had them on the property that's now a park. This property is a source of great confusion to the community. Who runs it, who pays for it, why were his deer blinds taken down? He seemed to have met all the requirements for shooting deer there. Unless you plan to fence it and make it into some kind of a deer preserve, why is he not being allowed to shoot deer there?
So do you know?
This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Okay.
Mr. Cradavon, do you know anything about this?
Yes, the village does not, has a policy that does not permit hunting on village property, and that was the rule that was, again, we did not, this village board chose not to pass a resolution allowing hunting, so they were on village property, law enforcement was called, and they were taken down and retrieved back at the, retrieved at police headquarters.
Is this a part of the code? Is there a resolution that deer can't be hunted on village property? Is this village property or town property, this park, ostensibly? It's becoming pretty much, a derelict site.
What is the address of the
And if
property?
there is any kind of a prohibition, legal prohibition against the killing of the deer, I propose it be reversed. We have a great problem there. So what form does this policy take? What, is it a resolution? Is it a law? Is it in your code? Is it anecdotal? What form is this in?
I don't know.
I do believe we have a village code that permits hunting on village property.
So it's being enforced, but you're not really sure. It's village code? Okay.
I'm getting a yes.
You're getting a yes?
Yes.
Someone knows? Okay, then I'll take the number of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can sort of shed some light on that.
Thank you.
Michael Irving, Prospect Street. Mike Testatoria was a close friend of mine, and that's how we got into the relationship that he was going to cull a deer in the village of Southampton. I always, and I believe it is in the code, that I restricted him not to hunt on any publicly owned properties in the village of Southampton, because I felt that there are residents that don't like hunting, as well as residents that do like hunting. And the other issue on the public properties is we have a number of employees in the village that like to hunt, and they all were looking to hunt on our village properties. And if you had both of them conflicting with each other, it would be a disaster. So that's where it came from.
Might there have been an increased liability with that as well, or?
I don't think there's an increased liability because Mike carried all the insurance and for his hunters, and he vets his hunters. Any of you who have gone to his facility in West Hampton, he's got a very impressive place there that he actually, before anybody's allowed to hunt in a village, they have to do a test and score at a range that he's got in the building.
I also know that when he was here presenting to us, he also did say that the blinds were only going to be put on private property.
Correct.
So that's something, so, I mean, so with blinds being put...
pretty much was what the rule was.
So with blinds being put on public property and village-owned property, I believe that would then go against what was spoke about in front of this board.
Yes, yep.
Is it village property or town property? Can anybody clarify that?
I think, Francis, the piece you're talking about is the big piece in back by you. That's village. Yeah. Positive.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Okay. With that said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing specific contractual and employment matters. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.